Gör det. No, you don't understand. We gotta get 10,000. A lot of you have probably seen guys like Ashton Hall posting their morning routines on social media, including things like dropping your face into cold water, doing all sorts of activities, all after waking up at 3 AM for whatever reason, because apparently every influencer does that. But Becca, you're also an influencer. No, I specifically identify as a unit of weight. My pronouns are pounds/kilos. Get it right. Well, if you've been in the fitness industry for a while, you all know this guy very well from some of his older workout tutorials where he gives out questionable advice on how to get big, without mentioning the fact that he's actually on PEDs himself and never even trains like that. But recently he has gone extremely viral, especially on Instagram for his next level morning routines, which have already been memed to death. Apparently he went from being a construction worker to selling courses online, but he's got an insanely impressive physique, so surely he must be doing something right. Well, let's take a look at this guy's very famous morning routine. So he starts his day off by removing his mouth tape, which some people claim helps them sleep better and breathe through their nose. Now, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but a few studies say that if you have some form of sleep apnea, taping your mouth can actually help just a little, but in some cases it can worsen. So I just assume that this guy has sleep apnea, probably because his arms are so freaking huge it's choking him harder than Greg Doucette is choking Mike Israetel in their basement. Then he brushes his teeth, gotta get those pearly whites, and uses whatever brand of water this is. I assume it's either holy water or perhaps it's sweat from Ronnie Coleman's back. Then he goes outside to do his daily push-ups.
Push-ups, yes!
Although I'm pretty confident that those play no role in how he got his physique, my guy even brings out the back sweat water with him and just spends half an hour on his porch drinking. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you're gonna drink at 4:30 AM, at least do so while driving. So 4:38, he sits down and writes something in his notebook or diary, I hope it's a diary, and then he watches Reels for an hour.
It's not about how hard you can go. It's about the technique.
And after doing all that, he does what it's become so famous for, adding ice and lemon to a bowl of water and dunking your face in that stuff. Now, I'm pretty sure this just helps him wake up, but my guy, you've already been up for 2 hours, and so far you've drank water and doom-scrolled. So now it's past 6 AM, he gets dressed and ready before going to the gym. And of course, you have to wear the obligatory Rolex. Nothing helps me perform better like having $15,000 on my wrist. He does some immaculate running for close to an hour, and now I'm wondering why he's not even showing his real training. Even if you took Olympia level dosages of PEDs, you are not getting that physique from just doing a few push-ups and some sprints. Maybe he does it later in the day, but I also watched his night routine and he claims to be at work in between, so I'm not really sure if he trains at all. Maybe his muscles are just made from plants and he just sits in the sun and gets bigger through photosynthesis. But after training, you want to relax, you want to recover well and get your stress down. So what does my guy do? I feel like there's a JoJo reference in there somewhere. So he spends some time cooling off, swimming, relaxing, then takes a shower, and afterwards you gotta get that post-workout snack. Bananas are a decent source of carbs, they're high in potassium, and apparently they make you high because this guy started using the banana peel as skincare for whatever reason. Now, some of you can inform me down below in the comments if this has any actual benefit, but he then washes it off, probably because who the hell wants to smell like a banana all morning? Then he gets ready for work, but first he does another cold plunge, and I'm starting to see why this is becoming a meme. Then he speaks to a guy or just stares at a blank screen about something he needs to get 10,000.
So looking at it, bro, we gotta go ahead and get in at least 10,000.
But if there's anything I'd learned from math class, it's that you have to be precise in your language. 10,000 what? Bananas? Lemons? 10,000 bottles of Turk across the border? Who knows? So after 10 minutes of actually working, we finally achieve the final step in the anabolic morning routine, which is breakfast. Now, these sorts of videos have made him go insanely viral, and he recently pushed through 10 million followers on Instagram, although that might be 12 or even 13 million by the time this goes live. And tons of people are now trying to replicate his routine, or at least parts of them, like the cold plunges. Now, cold plunges do actually have some benefit, like helping with stress, and a lot of top-level strength athletes also do it as part of their own routine. But many also believe that it promotes muscle growth or even improves strength performance or recovery. And we have research showing that it does neither, and can actually be worse for muscle growth because it reduces peripheral blood flow. So it's not really good for muscle growth at all unless your goal is to be super jacked and just live on the North Pole or something. And some believe that they can use cold plunges to aid in recovery similarly to sleep, but that's also very false. Now, Andrew Huberman is a big fan of cold water submersion, and even he says that you shouldn't use them in combination with your training, but you can use them a while after you train. So doing it in the morning or late at night before going to sleep might be the best alternatives if you're gonna use some form of cold plunging in your routine. But I do find it pretty funny how this guy blew up over these morning routines on social media simply because people thought it was hilarious and made it into a meme, and now he's selling social media coaching on how to go viral like he knew that morning routine stuff was gonna become super popular. And apparently he even compared himself to Jesus because of how many people now follow him.
People follow Jesus. Why? Because he was great. As a Christian man, why are you angry if they're following you?
I gotta say though, this guy looks amazing, certainly better than I ever will. But his brand and coaching are all centered around how he looks and not the information he provides. Yet the guy never talks about PED use, which is the reason why his physique is his primary selling point, and the guy doesn't actually provide that good training advice to begin with. As somebody who has taken a long education about training, nutrition, biomechanics, and physiology, I can tell you that if he built his physique on the workouts he shows online, then he's not only blessed with insane genetics, but he's also got a pretty decent cycle to help him get there. Because doing stuff like this isn't what's gonna build you that Greek god physique, it's just a flashy social media tactic. Actually, I retract my previous statement. I would much rather hire this guy as a social media coach than a bodybuilding coach, because he certainly knows how to strike the algorithm with eye-catching videos, and they're all pretty high quality. But his routines are made for engagement and not results. Copying his stuff isn't gonna get you anywhere near his physique. It might give you other benefits, but muscle growth won't be one of them. Now, he likes cardio, which is something a lot of gym guys usually neglect. And waking up early has its benefits, but it doesn't usually matter if you wake up at 3 AM or 7 AM as long as you get enough sleep and perform well throughout your day. Because everyone has a different circadian rhythm, meaning that for some, waking up at 3 to 4 AM might be the best approach, while for others, waking up at 7 or 8 AM is better. Some people do work better at nighttime, while others work better in the morning. So it's really all up to the individual. To be fair, his content is more like ASMR than anything. I could definitely sit down and watch this just because it's comfortable. Certainly more comfortable than Greg Doucette's voice.
So you're bored in the house, and you're bored in the house, and you're bored, and you're bored, and you're in the house.
I do admire the guy's work ethic, but he might just be a better built version of V-Shred in my book, but at least it's funny. So yeah, if you want to wake up at 3 AM, write a journal, tape your mouth shut, and ice bath your face until you can't feel your regrets, then that's totally fine. It might help you focus, maybe it gives you some structure. But don't get these things twisted, these morning routines aren't the reason somebody looks like a Greek statue. That is hard training, PEDs, lighting, angles. The truth is, you don't need a $50 water bottle, or a Rolex, or a motivational speech in the bathroom mirror to make gains. You need good programming, you need consistency, and you need at least 7 hours of sleep. Everything else, that's just a bonus. So if this guy gets you inspired, go right ahead and steal what works. But I better not be finding you guys scrubbing your face with a banana peel at 5 AM while whispering, "We need 10,000. Because then, you might just be playing a character in somebody else's algorithm. But what do you guys think? Comment down below what time you wake up, and if you want to join my coaching community where you get access to handmade training plans, digital cookbooks, a calorie tracker, and workout tracker app with weekly Q&As, I'll put the link to it down below in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.